Today's Closer Look, the legacy of Columbine. Ever since that mayhem 15 years ago, we've seen more and more of these mass shootings, many by troubled young men inspired by the Columbine killers. In this brand new ABC News investigation, Pierre Thomas and his team dig into what drives these boys to unlock the mystery of why they snap and what can be done to stop them.
Columbine High School, April 20th, 1999. Its deadly legacy still echoes today.
Active shooter, Sparks Middle School, they have at least 2 down.
October 21st, 2013, a Nevada boy, only 12, shoots and kills a teacher, wounds 2 students, then takes his own life. Police find pictures of the Columbine killers on the boy's cell phone. April 9th, 2014, Franklin Regional High School near Pittsburgh. Chaos as a 16-year-old boy goes on a stabbing rampage, injuring 22. May 1st, police say they stopped a Minnesota boy, 17, from bombing and gunning down his classmates. Here he is testing his homemade explosives. All these cases share one common trait. All the suspects were inspired by or somehow tied to the Columbine tragedy, when Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold hunted down and killed 12 students and a teacher in cold blood. ABC News identified 17 school attacks and 37 serious threats linked to Columbine since the massacre, among them the slaughters of Virginia Tech and Newtown. At least 10 of the cases came in the last year alone, as this disturbing phenomenon seems to be intensifying. In Pasadena, California, at the start of this school year, 2 students accused of planning another school massacre.
They just wanted to kill as many people as possible.
A 3-month ABC News investigation spanning the country uncovered chilling evidence, video diaries, journals, police interrogations where the Columbine killers often emerged. Here's that Minnesota suspect talking to police in May.
My number 1 idol is Eric Harris. I think I just see myself in him.
This 16-year-old Tampa student was also allegedly planning a murderous nightmare.
I'm the Freedom High School shooter in Tampa, Florida. Well, I will be. Columbine, Virginia Tech, none of them will beat me. I'll kill them all. I can't wait to die, dude.
Perhaps no case demonstrates the Columbine obsession more than the 2006 shooting spree of this sadistic North Carolina killer. He convinced a family member to drive him to Columbine.
Columbine High School, right there. And you see over there? That's the library. That's where everything took place, right there.
He bought the same guns.
This, my friends, is what Eric Harris used in the Columbine massacre.
He even dressed like them.
Operation Columbine is underway.
Tragically, it was more than just play acting. The suspect shot and killed his father, then opened fire at his high school, wounding 2 students.
Remember Columbine!
He was arrested in this T-shirt. Some of the killers and Columbine worshipers are mentally ill. Some want attention. Others feel slighted and have specific grievances that spiral out of control.
They're looking for things that align with whatever their perceived grievance is. They have taken an unusual fascination in Columbine and other large-scale horrific attacks.
The modern era of active shooter events really began with Columbine.
The copycat phenomenon is real.
They're looking to those attacks for inspiration, and sometimes it even turns into sort of a hero worship.
These troubled young men and women dream of unspeakable carnage. Those who've actually attacked, wounded and killed scores of innocents who should never be forgotten. In the cases we studied, 66 killed, 59 wounded. How can this dangerous phenomenon be stopped or at least slowed? We sought answers from Dylan Cossey, now 21, but who at 14 was arrested for allegedly discussing a plan to attack his high school outside of Philadelphia. Cossey told me there was no specific plot and that he does not believe he would have carried out an attack, but he admits to fantasizing about acts of violence against peers who had been taunting him.
What really drew me in to that dark path that I was on was that sense of hopelessness.
Right.
And you start to associate with people who may discuss those kind of violent acts because they're the only people that at the time you feel that understand you.
He began researching Columbine.
And when I heard that these kids were bullied and that's why they did what they did, that's when the thought goes, I was bullied too.
After being arrested, Kasi received years of court-ordered therapy.
What would Dylan of today tell the Dylan of 7 years ago?
I would probably tell that you're stronger than you think you are. You're not alone. There is more support out there for you than you could even think possible. That you can move forward beyond anything that you're going through and move ahead with your life to a better place than you thought you could.
And Pierre joins us now. Remarkable report right there. This phenomenon is so real. The big question, what can be done to stop it?
Well, one of the things law enforcement is looking at is trying to get mentally ill people more support. Also, to do something about bullying and to identify children who are struggling, who have these dark thoughts that may not have manifested itself until the last moment.
And when they go down that rabbit hole on the internet, you need a counter.
Well, when we spoke to that young man, he said when he started researching Columbine, he said it would have been great if something else popped up to say this is not the way, that you don't have to go to acts of violence. But the thing that struck me is that this is a real phenomenon. It seems to be intensifying, and it's happening out there right now.
Thanks for bringing us the report, Pierre Thomas. Thanks very much.
All right, top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on. We are live. Hello, everybody. Let me get this in real time on my devices. A moment of silence for all those who have lost their lives, and to the families in Buffalo, New York, most definitely, and to the families in Texas, and to the families in the United States of America. All right, let's remember this. If we can look up, we can get up. If we can get up, we can go up. This is another sound off. So with that being said, we're going to get to this music, and we're going to hear some people who have already sounded off, and I'm going to sound off. That's the way it's going to go. All right, everybody, let's get it. YouTube. Right. Right. All right, let's get to it. In the USA. Okay. Bandaides in the United States of America. This is another sound off. Hey Mika. How you been, Mika? Hey Dre. This is another it's another sound off. And oh wow, everybody. Oh, okay. I have 4 electronic devices going on here. And Some are in real time and some are not. But let's get to it. This is a sound off. So in the chat, make sure you're sounding off. And I didn't send the link to have a guest up here, but let's get to it. I mean, the United States have been putting Band-Aids on mass shootings and murders, unfortunately, since slavery. And so a little leaveth a whole lump. And when you let things fester, and you give people the fortitude to continue on in their folly and foolishness, felonious education, this is what happens. And again, the United States need to deal with their issues and stop putting a Band-Aid on everything, because this is not cute. It's not funny. And the hands of innocent blood is on the United States heads and some of these leaders' heads. And it is what it is. And at the end of their life, they're going to have to deal with it. So let's get to it. Let me get to the sound off. Let's go. Viewers' discretion, graphic parental consent. This is not for minors. Although it may happen in the United States of America to minors, children, and the like. Disclaimer, this is not for minors. Viewers' discretion is advised. Strong language will be used.
I'm not going to talk about basketball. Nothing's happened with our team in the last 6 hours. We're going to start the same way tonight. Any basketball questions don't matter. In the last 10 days, we've had elderly black people killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. We've had Asian churchgoers killed in Southern California. And now we have children murdered at school. When are we going to do something? I'm tired. I'm so tired of getting up here and offering condolences to the devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of the, I'm sorry. I'm tired of the moments of silence. Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings, I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like. It's what we do every week. So I'm fed up. I've had enough. We're going to play the game tonight, but I want every person here, every person listening to this, to think about your own child or grandchild or mother or father or sister, brother. How would you feel if this happened to you today? We can't get numb to this. We can't sit here and just read about it and go, well, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, go Dubs, you know. Come on, Mavs, let's go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play a basketball game. And 50 senators in Washington are going to hold us hostage. Do you realize that 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want background check, universal background check? 90% of us, we are being held hostage by 50 senators in Washington who refuse to even put it to a vote, despite what we, the American people, want. They won't vote on it because they want to hold on to their own power. It's pathetic. I've had enough. I'm not going to talk about basketball. Nothing's happened with our team in the last 6 hours. We're going to start the same way tonight. Any basketball questions don't matter.
And it's about
in the last
power
10 days, we've
and
had
control.
elderly black people killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. We've had Asian churchgoers killed in Southern California. And now we have children.
Line and an embarrassment.
Sit down and don't play this.
The next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No, he needs to get his ass out of here. This isn't the place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable when you...
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium. I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue. It's on assholes like you. Why don't you get out of here?
GOP gun on people.
No, I'm gonna let it play back. I'm gonna. It's on the look. I'm gonna let this. I'm gonna pull this back. This is the ideology of some in the United States of America. People want to find because they want to stay in power.
Line and an embarrassment.
It's about power and control.
Sit down and don't play this.
The next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No, he needs to get his ass out of here. This isn't the place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable when you...
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium. I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue. It's on assholes like you. Why don't you get out of here?
GOP gun on people.
And so what you just seen like yesterday, and it happened yesterday, it's chaos.
In El Paso. I've talked to
Let's
the
get to
parents
the
at
next
high school. I've talked to the parents in Midland, Odessa. They want us to do something right now. I want us to do something right now. We can do something right now. But if we continue to accept this, then it is on us. It's not just the governor's fault. It is on us. I'm not going to accept
y'all
it. So I'm
tripping
here.
tonight.
I'm calling attention to this, and I'm asking all Texans of good conscience, and I could care less whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent, to stand up right now for yourself, for your kids, for our families, and to stop the next shooting just like this one.
And what do you say, what do you say to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who says now is not the time?
18-year-old kid doesn't have a driver's license, can't buy a
He should not have been able to buy an AR-15 right there. If you want a solution, stop selling AR-15s in the state of Texas. You want a solution? Have universal background checks. We don't have them. You want a solution? Red flag laws or extreme risk protection orders, which stop a shooting before it happens. You want a solution? Safe storage laws. Those are 4 solutions that have been brought up by the people of Texas. Each one of those has broad bipartisan support right now. We could get that done if we had a governor who cared more about the people of Texas than he does his own political career or his fealty to the NRA. And if you need any proof of that, check the schedule for the NRA's convention this Friday right here in the state of Texas. 5 of the worst mass shootings in U.S. history right in this state on his watch. What does he do about it? He goes to the NRA convention to brag about how easy he has made it to purchase guns in this state and to carry them publicly without a background check, without any training or vetting whatsoever. It is absolutely wrong. In fact, it is insane. The governor talks about mental health. It is insane that we allow an 18-year-old to go in and buy an AR-15. What the hell did we think he was going to do with that? This one is on us.
And what do you say to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who says now is not the time to make this political?
Now is the time to stop the next shooting. Right
I got
after
some.
Santa Fe High School was the time to stop the next shooting. Right after El Paso was the time to stop the next shooting. Right
got
after
some.
Midland, Odessa was the time to stop the next shooting. And in each case, we say,
I got some solutions. And a lot of them. Not attempt to be funny. But this is a sound off, and I see you all typing in the chat. Solution: stop voting for elected officials who are anti-safety and anti-security for U.S. citizens. It's real simple. Stop voting for these lobbying elected officials who gets their pockets full, who go in not being multimillionaires, leave out being millionaires or whatever off the taxpayers' back and off the taxpayers' dime and at the expense of innocent people with blood on their hands. Solution number one: stay actively engaged and get their derrieres up out of those seats. So it was a lot of sounding off yesterday. And every couple of years, some come out and they sound off. And then some go home and do nothing. Unfortunately, mass shootings in the United States of America is not new. It makes absolutely no sense. It didn't make sense during slavery, and it don't make sense now. But the United States failed to deal with their problem. Violence, racism, mass shootings, they failed to deal with these issues. Now, before I get to the next video, how is it, again, Governor Abbott, I got to call him out on his hypocrisy. And so you hear a lot of talk. You hear a lot of people sounding off on Republicans now, who are people who are independents, people who are Democrats, and even some people who are Republicans themselves or were at one time part of the grand old party, because the fact of the matter is this: legislation has been sitting on desks for years as it pertains to gun safety. They want to come out and call it gun control, gun control. No, again, if you can control the message and get it out in the media, you can get your message out to the masses and you can impact their minds. No, it's not about controlling your little guns in your little house. It is about gun safety. It's about gun safety. And it's always the ones who they haven't taught a flea. Now, I taught school for years. I went in my 20s and taught up into all the way into my 30s. Here's the deal. Here's the reality of the situation. When you are a teacher and someone enters your classroom and do something to those students, by all means, you feel accountable and responsible. You feel the weight. Yeah. You feel the spirit of heaviness. You feel it. Now, you got these yuppies who words ain't worth two dead flies, who always want to come out and run their mouths and get their pockets full. Gun control. They're trying to strip away constitutional right. No, they're not. We want gun safety and security in the United States of America. And let me be very plain about this and downright direct. It is absolutely no reason for minors in the United States of America to have access to guns at the extent that they do. Why? For what reason? And here I am, my African American self, and the type of background that I had to go to even take a go through training to be licensed to carry a gun. Let me pull that back. And the extent that my African American, rich and melanated self had to go through, the amount of paperwork that I had to turn in, and the lengths and the depths of the background that I had to go to just to even sit in a class to shoot multiple guns, to participate in a training. And in some of these states, like Texas, so let's be clear, because last year, Governor Abbott went ahead and signed a bill to dial back the requirements for residents in the state of Texas to bear arms, to carry guns. Oh, he dialed back everything. So now he made it easier. He made it easier for them to get guns. Period. Point blank, period. It's on record. The law passed. You can go to texas.gov and read it in its entirety. It's on record. Okay? I'm just going to sound off tonight. I'm just going to sound off tonight. This is a sound off. Silly season for political parties have been going on for years, and especially the GOP. And I'm going to let the record show and just tell it like I see it, because it is a record. They do have a record. They have a voting record. They have a record of not only voting. You can go in and you can read what they legislate, the draft, the legislation that they sit down, sponsor and co-sponsor and draft up. You can read it. It is never advantageous for people. It's not advantageous for people. It is not advantageous for gun safety laws for kids. It is only advantageous for big business and for putting money in their pockets and for fleecing the American people. Now, and I'm not talking about what I think I know. I'm talking about what's in black and white and letting the record show. Period. You can refute anybody's opinion, but you can't refute the facts. And that's just the fact of the matter of the situation. Period. Oh, we sounding off tonight. Yeah. So yesterday, I made sure I didn't go live on purpose, because it was supposed to be another live about another spear of mass shooters over here in the United States of America, the police department. Then I'm sitting up getting all type of messages coming across my feed. And I'm sitting there like, another mass shooting at a school. Predictable, preventable, and profitable. Profitable, preventable, and predictable. Because the NRA is profiting. They always in Washington, D.C. lobbying. Yeah. Yeah. And we always have to sit down every year, annually, and have this conversation. Some of us have this conversation daily, have this conversation. And for people to act like it's not a traumatic experience to these little kids, for butt backwards elected officials to sit up and act like it's not a traumatic experience for these little kids, for butt backwards elected officials, oh, hear me good tonight, to sit up and to act like, oh, it's just people with mental issues. If they get some mental help, it will resolve the situation. No, it won't, because some of this is taught in their homes. Period. Point blank, period. Oh, they can sit up. Oh, and I'm going here and talk about pro-choice rights all day, but when it comes to gun safety, you get avoidance. Where is the GOP party at now? Where are the Supreme Court justices at now? They wanted to weigh in on a woman's right to choose, but they don't want to weigh in on this right here. They go mute and silent. Some of them go mute and silent when it comes to gun safety issues, because they've been bought and paid for. How much money they've been putting in your pockets for the last upteen number of years, so they can hold their noses up and act like the situation is going to go away. Oh, no. The one who's running for governor in the state of Texas was absolutely right, as well as some other ones who've been sounding off. And it's been said many times on this channel, innocent blood is on their hands and on their head, period. Got, yet again, innocent blood of U.S. citizens on these elected officials, some of these elected officials' hands and their heads. Your hands, when you watch this, are not clean. Period. They dirty. And it's just like that in YouTube with your artificial. Let me say this, because 90% of YouTube is ran by machines. And 100% artificial intelligence is used, period. Your little machines don't need to keep posting these messages. Abide by the guidelines. Because if we want to talk about platforms, distribution platforms, and social media platforms who sit up and also foster this type of behavior and make it easy for them, we can go there too. But the thing is, I'll take you to your metadata and walk you through your archives. That's housed there. Don't act like y'all don't see it either. Tech companies. Period. Sitting up letting people who are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and some who are not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, they just downright hateful, mean, and evil, sit up and perpetrate these type of mass shootings in America. Being a safe haven for them. Yeah, I'm sounding off tonight. It's a sound off night. It's a sound off night. Yeah. Again, The United States have a history. It's a pattern. That is substantiated with facts. It's a history that is definitely substantiated by a plethora of facts. And it's a history and a pattern and that leads to certain behavior in the United States of America. And then that's why you heard the one man sitting up there cussing out the other man, immediately using profane words like he's never consulted a dictionary before after some kids got murdered in Texas. And he abruptly stopped the governor because the governor was on foolishness and shenanigans. Nobody going to hear that mess after the fact, after this governor set up last year and passed his gun laws that made it easier for teens and minors to get their hands on guns. Stop playing. All right. I said this is sound off night tonight. Go to the next one. Go to the next one. And yesterday, for for many of us, we don't have to we're always usually, our ethnic group is always usually going to say something. We're always out there saying something on every issue. Because we do, as an ethnic group, there's a remnant of us, more than a remnant, that understand tragedy. We understand tragic situations. It's a remnant of us that really understand tragic situations. Some people don't understand it because they sit up and they say, oh, we never thought it would happen in our community. Okay. Because in African American communities, you can live in what is deemed the hood. You can live in what is deemed the projects. You can live what is deemed in a middle class area. You can live in what is deemed the suburbs. You can live in what is deemed the upper echelons of the upper echelons, and you still will understand this type of situation. Tragic situations. Let them finish sounding off.
14 kids dead in an elementary school in Texas right now. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why do you spend all this time running for the United States Senate? Why do you go through all the hassle of getting this job, of putting yourself in a position of authority, if your answer is that as this slaughter increases, as our kids run for their lives, we do nothing? What are we doing? Why are you here? If not to solve a problem as existential as this.
Senator Chris Murphy speaking late in the day. We're joined now by Fred Gutenberg, whose daughter Jamie was killed in the Parkland school shooting. Your thoughts tonight?
Chris Murphy, you are my hero. Just over 4 years ago, my daughter killed in a similar shooting. And I want to remind my son was in the shooting as well. Heard the bullets that killed his sister, and I want people to remember that, because it's not just about those who get killed today, It's about all of those who survive and are going to be impacted by what happened today. But gosh, Ari, I have had it. I really have. For 4+ years since my daughter died, I've been gentle with these people. I've been debating these people. I've been arguing over what this all means in terms of the Second Amendment, while since my daughter died, we've gone from 300 million weapons on the streets to 400 million, plus ghost guns. And they stand around and they want to debate. Let me tell you something. Since this is happening in Texas, and I saw Governor Abbott on an earlier segment here, he is responsible. Senator Cruz, you are responsible. Lieutenant Governor, you are responsible because you have all pushed this notion that we need more guns and more hands of more people who we know nothing about. And this is the predictable outcome. These shootings are preventable, but they are also predictable. And the next one is going to happen as well if we do nothing. I apologize for my language. I'm shaking.
Nothing to apologize for. I think people can understand the intensity that you feel, while no one would claim to understand what you've been through. You mentioned some of the senators. I have a statement put out here from Leader McConnell, who says that he's, quote, heartbroken by reports of the disgusting violence directed at innocent school kids. The country is praying for the children, he says, families, teachers, and staff, and the first responders on the scene. I got about 2 minutes left. Fred, you mentioned Senator Murphy, your response to Senator McConnell.
He probably put out the exact same statement after my daughter was killed. Mitch McConnell is the common theme in doing nothing on gun violence. There is no person more significant in the failure to do anything in the Senate than Mitch McConnell. And so his statement, he can shove it up his you-know-what, it means nothing. Don't put out a statement, Mitch. Walk into Senator Murphy's office and tell him you want to be the one to change this today.
I hear you loud and clear. When we look at this as people, and we are still people, trying to live together in this pluralistic society on nights like this, and the president's going to be speaking here just over an hour from now. What else would you say to the families going through it, to the parents going through it, to people that are, as you mentioned, the horrific collateral damage, personal, emotional, community, in addition to the 15 killed?
And so I'm going to stop that right there. Mitch McConnell, you take your words and you can shove them up your derriere, your backside, because they ain't worth nothing. They're not worth 2 dead flies. And for the rest of the Republican Party who's coming out doing all that political posturing, the GOP and any other person, whether you a Democrat, Republican, or independent, or you just a nothing. You know, you don't rock with any party. But you've been sitting up for the last few years, upteen number of years, co-signing this mess right here. Talking about gun control when technically it's gun safety and gun security measures. Using those words, gun control. Control. Always got to throw a word in there. Gun control. Being real descriptive. Y'all can take y'all words and shove them up your derrieres. Period. Because they ain't worth 2 dead flies. Mika said something I want to get back to, because it was, let me get to this. Go back to this. Absolutely disgusting. Let me put this one up here. Absolutely disgusting for the party, the senators who've been blocking legislation for the last 2 years, some of them more than 2 years, to come out and act like, oh, but you're sitting up there being ran by big business who's running funds in your pocket as they fleece the people, and you want to come out now and act like you concerned, and they've been doing this since 1999, before 1999. Columbine happened in 1999. And my sound off tonight, I'll say it again. Preventable. Wait a minute. Predictable, based off history. Preventable, based off what we should be doing. Profitable, based off history and how much money they didn't have. How much money they can run up. How much money they can run up in gun for selling guns and ammunition. How they can run it up. And again, understand this. As an African American person, I am for Second Amendment rights, by all means. Yeah, because I saw what the United States of America did to Indians, and I saw what they did to the Africans who came over here and how they use guns, and then they didn't have guns or the equipment that was being used against them, the tools, the weapons of mass destruction that was being used against them by their enemies at that time. So by all means, I am for people having a constitutional right to bear arms, but I am not for guns being in the hands of minors and for hateful, evil, radical supremacist groups. Or people who are mentally unstable or chemically unbalanced. Mika said this a while ago, facts. Selah, pause and think about it. Pause and think about it. This is not the only mass shooting that happened this year. It's been several. Into the hundreds. This is not the only mass shooting that happened in the United States of America. They happen annually. And it's unfortunate that 50 Republicans would sit up on their behinds and do nothing for gun safety laws, but block. But the Democrats, you better get a whole bunch of backbone and go up in there like you are some lions just downright bold, because a lion ain't scared of nothing. It's a reason why the lion is labeled the king of a jungle. The Democrats better get some backbone and go to Washington, D.C. like some lions. Don't just sit up and talk all day. Flick of the wrist. Flick of the wrist. The filibusters, while the Democrats been in control, y'all can shut that mess down. It's just a flick of the wrist. It's a flick of the wrist. You got elected by the American people, U.S. citizens, to legislate. Do your jobs. You got to get downright in their faces and resist that foolishness they've been up there pushing for the last number of years when it comes to gun safety laws. Not only gun safety laws, when it comes to fleecing the American people pockets. Not only that, when it comes to these doggone lobbyists, can be bought and paid for, dangling a few $1 million in their faces. And all of a sudden, they don't know how to legislate. Some of them didn't go with pure intentions anyway. I do understand that. Oh, let me pause for a minute. I'm revelating right now. Some of them did not go with pure intentions anyway. I do understand that. They never ran with good intentions. Therefore, when they got to the White House or congressional houses, in their congressional seats, they were going to do nothing anyway because they were already bought and paid for before they went there. They went with ulterior motives. Some of them did. I do understand that. But at the same time, while I'm sitting here sounding off about this, we as the U.S. citizens need to stay actively engaged. We do. We do. And these butt backwards governors who get elected in these states where they are lackadaisical on gun laws shouldn't even be there. Period. You sitting up with all these excuses like they did last year, like the judge did last year with Kyle Rittenhouse, putting hands in the guns of hands, justifying guns being in the hands of minors who should never have them while they cross the state lines. Again, what did you think they were going to do with the gun? The Texas shooter yesterday. What did they think he was going to do with those guns? Huh? What did they think the 18-year-old was going to do with those guns and that ammunition? When these teens and minors get guns in their hands, what does America think they're going to do with them? Play? No, they're not. They're going to shoot. And again, let me put some perspective on it. My over 40-year-old self would have to go through double HEL and high water on a background check just to attend a class to shoot some guns. But go ahead and placate it and put the guns in the hands of teenagers and say they need it for hunting purposes. No, they don't. Let me say it again. No, they don't. Are they in rural areas on a farm? That's different. But if you are in the city, I don't want to hear nothing about no teens, minors. Let me be real specific. Minors and teenagers having access to no guns, living in no cities, in no suburbs. I don't want to hear that foolishness. Then you get these silly parents, some silly parents who sit up and will give their minors, like we saw in Michigan last year, guns. 15, 16 as presents, semi-automatics, as gifts. Let me say it again, and then you get some silly parents. I didn't say all the parents were silly. I said you get some silly parents. And they know their child shouldn't never hold a gun, should never hold a gun, shouldn't even have a knife in their hand. Because they know their kid's not all the way there. Shucks. Mm. And this is sounding off. I'm just letting the record show. I already put the disclaimer out there. I said graphic content, strong language. Yeah, I concur, Mika. They can know the history, they can know this, and they can know that, and they still just don't give a darn because it's about power and control. Again, these mass shootings are predictable. We keep putting Band-Aids on them. We got the rubber band crew out there trying to rubber band and bandage everything up. It is predictable. A lot of these shootings are preventable, and they are profitable. Profitable. Who's benefiting? Who's profiting? Who's profiting? And then you get other groups of grown adults, like black militias and black political parties, like the Black Panther was a legal black political party, and they gave them triple double HELL. Then you had the new Black Panther Party, and then you have just facets that came from there. And then you had In Fact, which was another black militia, and they gave them all kind of double HE triple LL. You know, but they can let some supremacists get some guns. some supremacists who are minors get guns, and then they can let some other teenagers get a hold of some guns from other ethnic groups and go in and slip through the cracks. Yeah. I guess we just doing a super fantastic job. Again, this is a sound off. Let me say it again. It's preventable. It's predictable based off history. You can run the statistics. And it's profitable for a group of people. And let me make this very clear. Even if I was never an educator at one point in time in my life, minors still don't need to have their hands on guns, period. What do they need access to all these guns for? Why? Some of these officers don't need to have their hands on any guns. Now, just tell the truth up in here tonight. I'm going to just tell the truth in here tonight. Now, having said that, what time at? Okay, I'm over an hour. I can stay on for the next 24 hours and keep talking about this and just run stacks after stacks after stacks. However, it is 11:19. Thank you. I am to, if we could just put in action as much as we talk, it could happen now. Right. We can walk, we can talk the talk, but can we walk the walk? And again, we have to stay actively engaged. And in saying that, again, I am looking at the time. Like I said, this is going to go on and 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 on. It is our responsibility to make sure we are voting for the people who are going to do right by people and do the work. And if you don't like the elected official that is out there, if you don't like the person that's running, you run. Okay, if you don't like the representation you see in many of these states, we can do recalls, get recall language approved, sit up there, recall that elected official. That's terminating them, letting them go and get somebody else in that slot who gonna do some work. Who gonna do the work? The essence of the urgency of now is already past us, and we still sitting up having these conversations with the same states keep electing the same old my words right here, my perspective, funky elected officials in their ideologies, the way they think, the way they talk, and the way they carry themselves, and the way they legislate. Now, we have to stay actively engaged. We have to do the work. This is not a joke. It is not a game. It is the history of the United States of America. It is not new in America. Unfortunately, it is true in America. Mass shootings and mass murders in America is not new. It is true. It has been done systematically over here. It is an issue. And if we are going to resolve this issue, we have to stay actively engaged as U.S. citizens. We need to understand how much authority we do have when we go united together and stay focused and demand it until we get it. The right resolve. Now, having said that, thank you so much, everybody. You have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. And again, my prayer and my heart goes out to those families and to U.S. citizens who have to relive the situation, who has already been through this, have already gone through this years, who face this type of situations every day, who have to hear gunshots every day, who have build up a box in their mind and are living in fear. We have to stay actively engaged. You all stay safe. Have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. Thanks for streaming, everybody. Bye-bye. Stay actively engaged and stay vigilant.